Greetings, everyone. Keith here. Hope everyone's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Okay, we got everything set up and we're about ready to go. I want to remind everybody to please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro and do the same. And if you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Help the algorithms and the numbers. Share this stuff out so more people know. It's your right. I'm using my right to express myself for your right to know. So please do so freely. In the meantime, there is a couple PayPal links down below for anybody that would like to share some love. And we're going to get into it with Pink. What is it? Pink Camera Magic. Now, I've got a link dropped down below in the details section for people to go over and check out her channel. Do your own previewing and see what she's got to offer and decide for yourself whether you can use that information and hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons over there as well. That's up to you. But I'm offering a venue for you to check out outside of myself, so you don't have to believe me. Don't believe your neighbor. Don't believe your government. Don't believe your mother. Do your own research. This is a venue of research. This is one of those things I'm going to start doing. I have a lot of people I do my research through various different YouTube channels. And so I'm going to start promoting them through little videos here of some of their material. And what we're looking at here is a video from Pink Camera Magic of when corrupt cops realize they are done for. And the first couple minutes of this video is going to seem kind of astounding, particularly when we find out that these people are in the law force for 20 years and stuff. So please pay attention, take notes, and start to educate yourself beyond what they've told you to remember. Because what they've told you to remember is now false. Things change. And that means if you want to keep up with the times accordingly in peace, you need to change as well. That change is through education. This is the true benefit. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So at a time in your life comes a point where you decide you are all-knowing and you no longer need to learn anything else. And you start telling people, well, that's not the way it works. Then you might be fooled. So please, again, pay attention to the beginnings of this video. It's very important to comprehend the base of knowledge that these people operate on. It's fucking astounding.
What lawful basis was there for you to ask for her ID?
I don't know.
In order to detain somebody, what do you have to have legally? Do you know?
I do not know the law legally.
Okay. Doesn't there have to be reasonable suspicion that the person committed a criminal offense or violated a law?
Because I don't know the law exactly.
You don't know when an officer is allowed to detain somebody?
This is Sergeant Jennifer Larson and Lieutenant Donald Malazzo, both police officers that had served for over 20 years, being deposed for the illegal apprehension and arrest of a woman named Samantha, aka Pink Camera Magic, on YouTube, who had been recording at the Cook County Court. AKA Pink Camera Magic.
So again, please go check out her channel. She's got 67.8 thousand subscribers. She's got 162 videos. She's doing a very good job according to the way I see it. I subscribed. I'm not telling you to subscribe, but I'm hoping you'll go over, check it out, and part of your research to show that you are doing that which is not only good for yourself, but good for others, so that you too can stand in the equal station in life. And that is nothing other than that which is true.
on YouTube who had been recording at the Cook County Courthouse building from outside.
Hey, ma'am, you know this is a public building?
Exactly, that's why I'm recording it.
It's also a court facility.
Yep.
Which there is a judicial law or judicial order that says that you cannot tape this building.
Can I see that order?
Yes, come on in. We're going to check your IDs too.
Oh, no, I'm not going in.
Oh, yeah, no.
A judicial order. No. That would be false, and the record will show that. The judicial order has to come from the judicial office. If it comes under administration as a judicial order, they are making a judicial determination based on their interpretations of the delegations of the obligations and duties and responsibilities that they have in imposting, excising, taxing, and collecting and laying of those duties. That's pure and simple. They have no delegation of powers under the administration to make a judicial order. That has to come from those that make the judicial orders. Period. So when we see that the judicial office department, which means it's an executive office of the military, and it is a neutral and independent office, or excuse me, forum within the United States Postal Service as the registered agent, and it comprises of the judicial officer, the administrative law judge, and the Postal Board of Contract Appeals. That means there has to be a contract in play, and that defendant has to be a definitive signing party with full intent and knowledge and willingness. Period.
We're going to run you too.
No, that's all
We're going to
right.
get your name. We're going to do a report and everything. So come on in. All right?
No.
No, yeah, you're going to come in now.
Am I being detained?
Yes,
For what?
because right now you are doing something suspicious.
That's not a reason to detain anybody.
Well, it is for Dana. Come on.
It's really not.
Let's go
So I'm
5
just going to
minutes.
stay here and continue recording.
See, suspicion is not, in fact, founded to be legal or illegal yet. There is only a suspicion. They cannot arrest you on suspicion. They have to have reasonable, articulatable suspicion.
Okay. You're going to come in and we're going to find out who you are and what you're doing.
And that is of a law. That is not to find out who you are and what you're doing. They have to already know what you're doing is against the law. Period. So the suspicion has the connection of a criminal act in law, not an offense of a legal statute under contract terms and conditions. For acquisitions implemented by the use of that statute in a contract with an executive order to acquisition commercial items and services. That is forced labor.
Doing here.
No, you're not.
Okay. All right, who's got cuffs? She does not want to go agreeably.
The interaction begins with Lieutenant Milazzo.
So now, since he's not satisfied that she'll go in on her own and do as his bidding says and work for him by doing paperwork. That's a conversion of manual labor to paperwork. Then that paperwork is again converted to a credit system that enters it in as a debit.
Approaching Samantha and stating that she can't record in a public building, and that is enough reason for him to detain her as she didn't provide her ID. But what Milazzo doesn't know is that what
He's not in the building. And even then, in the building, pursuant to Poster 7, in the post office, the judicial office, the determination has already been made and declared in public the purposes and intents that one can do such things in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, needful places and buildings along Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7, postal roads for Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 purposes. Oops. The key. Pay attention, folks.
What he's doing is actually illegal, as it is completely legal to take photographs or film public places in all states unless oral conversations are recorded, which is not the case here.
So, what we have is the ability to create in a public forum that which is plainly observable in public. No ifs, ands, or doubts about it. And this is protected by the Treaty of Berne and many other similar treaties. Every contract is connected likewise. Make sure you learn how to coin your words or purse your lips. If you're not going to coin your words with the image and likeness of our Father, then you are merely using somebody else's coin with figure of Caesar on it. So seize him, seize him, seize him. Or else learn how to give unto the Father what belongs to the Father and give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, you filthy bastards.
Okay.
I'm being detained for just taking pictures of the building.
Yes, ma'am. You're doing something suspicious, and we need to know who you are and why you're doing it. Okay?
Are you familiar with First
Doing something suspicious with no foundation of why it's suspicious other than his own coward ass fears, because he's already doing things he's not supposed to be doing. "20 years, and he doesn't know the requirements, the base lawful requirements for arresting somebody or taking their ID. And he's been doing it for 20 fucking years.
Amendment?
Yes. I am.
Really?
Let's go in. Come on. I
Wow.
tried to do this.
And so now he takes physical control. People in government servitude can't understand normal thinking standards. My private and published contraption of pigs' cunts. People in government servitude can't understand normal thinking standards. They are given an authority. They have a third grade fucking mind and think it's mine. I get to take it just because I say it's mine. You ignorant fucks. You don't like my language? You've been doing this shit for 20 fucking years. You ignorant fucks.
You are aware of Homeland Security, right?
After noticing multiple times that he was being recorded, Milazzo finally decided to aggressively grab Samantha's camera with which she was recording him to later detain her and take her inside.
And what you just witnessed is in fact kidnapping. Anyone caught stealing from the brethren of the children, or the children of the brethren of Israel, and making merchandise of them shall be put to death. Ye shall put evil away from amongst you. And until you learn how to stand up and tell these dumb fucks you're done with it, it'll never stop. They're going to go down and arrest the guy a couple blocks down from you. You're going to see the lights and sirens. You're going to poke your head out. You're going to go back to your fucking couch, eating the fucking poison food and poison drinks that they happily give you because that's what you fucking voted for. And you're going to do so through a paper straw wrapped in plastic wrap. When do you think they're going to come for you?
Lawyer.
Okay, call your lawyer.
That includes my camera as far as consent.
Well, it's already on.
Are you
so-
familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
Oh, great. Why do we always get the crazy?
I don't know.
That second person in this scene, the one
Is that a medical determination? Or is that a legal determination? When you don't even know the fucking law. If you don't know the fucking law, then that tells me you don't think you have to have a medical license because you just blatantly go around making publicized psychological determinations. Why do we always get the crazy ones? You crazy motherfucking ignorant bastards.
wearing the body cam is Sergeant Jennifer Larson, and what she and Lieutenant Milazzo don't seem to realize is that what they are doing is absolutely outside the boundaries of the law, and that Samantha knows that. Denying yet again showing her ID, Samantha notices that Lieutenant Milazzo is doing something shady with her camera.
Did you delete my footage?
You want to cooperate or not?
Remaining silent.
Oops. Pay attention, folks. Pay very close attention, please. Pink camera magic, if you're paying attention. You have both evidence on that phone that as soon as you pressed numbered keys or other identifiers in any form, that includes the touch screen, where you can do both the touch text, which means you pressed it, or a swipe text, meaning you still pressed it. But each one of those entries has a timestamp. Stamp being very important because the taxes are duly paid by stamp. So evidence that a stamp was placed according to the time of the event shows that the taxes were paid. That is attached to a security certificate showing evidence that a securities investment is incurred. That securities investment is between the United States Postal Service as the registered agent of the post office under that Treaty of Berne for creator content and the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and those logs cannot be destroyed. And you can require any of those records as a matter of an international incident because the use of those records are, in fact, international records. Quit playing to these judicial and administrative courts under executive legislative grants. These people are on a postal road under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7, administrating the laying and collecting of taxes, duties, imposts, and excises unlawfully, without the proper valid communication with Congress.
It is only making it worse. Do you want to give us an
Remain
ID?
silent. Remain silent. Don't consent to searches.
We're not going to search you. We're asking for an ID.
If this wasn't enough, the officers then mockingly laugh at her after she invokes her right to remain silent.
What the fuck is going on today?
I know.
Every crazy loon in the building is coming. All we're
That's
asking
what
is an ID.
we're asking for an ID.
Again, making another psychological determination, backing up that he said it the first time, and that is inducement to the audience that is already induced. You motherfucking slaves. When do you think they're going to come for you and say you're the crazy one when all you've been doing is trying to live your life by a truthful path? You've been led astray.
We'll do a report. You can go on your way with your camera. Otherwise, I'm going to confiscate the camera and we're going to take it downstairs
what
and
crime?
we'll print you. Because you're suspicious.
She's suspicious. So she's the breaking of the law. There's something against her existence as a law. He has no other foundation except that she is the cause of his suspicion. Are her actions suspicion? She's doing everything that she's allowed to do in law. And since she wasn't doing it in the building, as he stated first, the entire intent of Poster 7 being inside the post office is so that those inside know of the onus probandi of being public or private, and that if they wish to be private, they have to put up the partitions and stuff inside so that people outside can come in with their ability to freely express, which means to freely impress and take in their surroundings in any form. That means they are allowed to use video and audio to take the impression, alter it, and make it their own creation, or express it as it is and let others interpret it. Any obstruction of that communication is a violation of the inherent breath of life. You ignorant fucking bastards.
Remaining silent.
Seeing no cooperation on her side, the officers then decide to give Samantha an ultimatum in an attempt to finally settle the situation.
Okay, this is your choice. You can either give us an ID so that we can do a report on this and find out who you are, or we're going to take you in front of the presiding judge. He's going to hold you in contempt.
Give us an ID so we can report you. That's an import transaction by force. And now not only have they kidnapped her and confiscated property, both takings as violations against the law, they're committing the making merchandise part. The ID, the name and number that identify the record. You ignorant fucking bastards.
Contempt, which means that he can hold you for as long as he wants.
Remaining silent.
Okay, let's do it.
You are not at historic Kinnick Stadium. You're not cheering with 70,000 Hawkeye fans with kickoff to Kinnick High Lottery, Iron Man Sweet Game Day Experience, or tickets to any home game. Play today.
I urge you to quit playing, people. It is a lottery, and one day you will get drawn. They will come to your door.
10 minutes went by, and then Lieutenant Milazzo finally came back with news, or better called threats, against Samantha, who, as everyone should do, just remained in silence.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to probably take her in front of the judge.
Okay.
He's going to hold her in contempt for.
Really? See, they already know a process that is a simulated legal process. And that is a false use. That is a false entry into the record. That's 30 years by 2 separate charges, plus a number of other charges that these ignorant fucks face in conspiracy. That's RICO. Violation of the 4th and 5th Amendment through violation of the First Amendment and the 9th Amendment and the 10th Amendment, where they pose some kind of vital statistics jurisdiction. And it's vital that they get that information so they can perform their commercial acts of kidnapping, treason, sedition, perjury, murder, molestation, rape, theft, lying, you ignorant fucking bastards.
I think right now he's doing 90 days.
Okay.
So, is that okay with you?
Remain silent.
Okay, but you realize you're going to go to Cook County Jail for 90 days.
So he's the judge, jury, and executioner. Right there. Sorry. That's for the head of the department. You're not the head of the department. The department is the commanding general, or excuse me, the head of the department is the commanding general. And this is the director general of the International Bureau in cooperation with the federal chancellor of the Swiss Confederate, which is who sets out the weights and measures of the Swiss franc for everything that you're weighing and measuring out in those words that you're using on those pieces of paper known as fiat currency, military command. You ignorant fucking bastards.
Remain silent.
Okay.
Okay.
Now you have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we can do a report, and we'll let you go on your way.
I have an option.
We told you that
Remain
before.
silent.
Because right now you're just obstructing and you're in contempt.
Obstructing what?
You're obstructing us.
See what she just did there? I have an option. And they said yes. Guess what that is? You either do this or you do that. That's known as extortion. Extortion. What is a tort? They're trying to evade a tort. If you take up the option, you waive the tort. Extortion.
From doing our job.
Remain silent.
All right, cuff her. Let's get her purse.
Ken.
Get her stuff.
I don't consent to searches.
Well, we don't care anymore. Okay?
Samantha was finally handcuffed and arrested for obstruction to later be freed without any charges. But what the officers are unaware of is that not only did they commit an illegal act, but multiple: unlawful detainment, intimidation, illegal arrest, dereliction of duty, unlawful
Dereliction of duty. Taxes are duly paid by stamp. He was looking for payment and needed something to be stamped. Let them give you that citation. Do not argue with them. Go to the post office, get that stamp, and do what you need to. If there's no room on the back to write out your directive to make sure that he follows the duty under the Tax Stamp Act to qualify his commercial use of one of their instruments by posting an administrative accounting without the proper judicial determination, means he put forth an instrument without the proper consideration. He offered an instrument in dishonor, dereliction of duty. And he did so by making an oral order that was later to be written down in a statement, a witness statement. The oration has already been done, people. You are sanctified and ordained already. The word was already written on your heart with his index finger of his right hand. You are in righteousness. Learn it.
lawful search and destruction of private property. Shortly after, Samantha was able to hire one of the best lawyers in the country and sued Cook County for multiple civil rights violations. The case has been going on for a few years now, and the conclusion is not yet known, but a part of all of this that we have is the following photo of Lieutenant Milazzo and Sergeant Jennifer Larson. What unfolded in the following never-before-seen footage is one of the biggest and most shocking proofs of ignorance of the law and ineptitude in police history.
Is it again?
And I want you guys again to pay very close attention. The StreamYard link down there is pinned, so if you want to come join the panel and ask questions of your own, I would hope you would do that, because this stuff is just so dumbfounding. It would beg people to ask some astounding questions. Please join me. If not, that's fine. I can deal with that. But this, again, is some astounding information that you people really need to pay attention to, do your research on, and hopefully share it out. It's time to start standing up. The truth is simple.
Against the law to take pictures of a courthouse from outside?
Notice that's one of the first things I pointed out when that officer tried to tell her that she couldn't take pictures from inside the building. And yet here they were standing outside. Pay attention to how to construct your questions, so there's no way they can figure it out, because they did it in an act of insanity themselves by babbling and repeating what somebody else babbled before them. And it's doing nothing but getting worse because people refuse to stand up and correct them.
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is it lawful to arrest somebody for taking pictures outside of the courthouse?
No, not that I know.
Okay. Is there something
Could you voice it, please?
Okay, sorry.
So I gotta get every word if it's on video.
Okay.
Are you familiar with this case at all?
Which case?
The case that brings us here today, that you're testifying in?
Yes.
Okay, and in a nutshell, what's the case about?
I would say that Amanda.
And notice, she started out with Amanda. Failure in communication. She didn't have firsthand appearance of Amanda until she was notified by somebody else. So firsthand, she should have referred to somebody else. Liar. Put things in order. Keep things in order. Learn how to tell things in order, and you won't be found a liar. You liar.
I guess I called you to say that she was outside videoing when she shouldn't have been. So she said.
Doesn't that sound dumb now? See how she questioned that as she was saying it? Shouldn't she have spoken up her own fucking self? Of course not. That would ruin her paycheck that she's had for 20 fucking years. You ignorant fucking bitch.
Saying we violated her amendment rights.
You're correct. When you say when she shouldn't have been, what does that mean? Was she doing something wrong?
Just something unusual, what us as officers would consider unusual.
Unusual, okay.
Having shown zero knowledge of the
It's time to make it usual. To let them know, you know, that everything that's being recorded already has time-stamped and security certificates attached to it by memorandum of law between the post office and the FCC to make sure they keep track of the statistical data, to make sure there aren't any cybersecurity threats, particularly these ignorant motherfuckers making false reports. They need to be locked up or re-educated. You choose. That's your determination. But you are not to force their issue of administrative policy on me again. I am not in your war.
law, Samantha's lawyer then decides to push Sergeant Jennifer further to try to make her slip even more.
Depending on where you are in the country, Mormons are unusual, right? Depending on where you are, it might be unusual to see a Mormon. Do you get to detain Mormons in those places?
I don't know if people detain Mormons.
You can ask.
I don't know if they detain Mormons.
Would it be lawful? Just because it's unusual?
No, I don't.
Okay. Is there something unlawful about recording outside of the building?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Let me ask you this. Was Miss doing anything illegal when she was detained?
No, I would say it was not illegal, unusual.
Talking about unusual things, the statement that follows is something a police officer should never even be allowed to say.
In order to detain somebody, what do you have to have legally? Do you know?
I do not know the law legally.
And if you
I do not know the law legally. This is a thing that many of us have put before these courts many times, and they shrug their shoulders. He's only here to enforce the law. Talk to us about the law. How can they bring you to a court, an administrative court that's converting the last name to a firm name, using the social security number as an obligor number, and providing a court registry investment systems with an evaluation to determine whether you're competent when this motherfucker isn't even competent to do it? That is, in fact, kidnapping, making merchandise of the children of Israel. You ignorant fucking bastards!
still think that at least Lieutenant Milazzo knew what he was doing, well, you're wrong.
What would you do if one of those people said to you, what's the difference between arrest and detain? What would your answer be?
Call legal.
Mr. Gorman, seated to your left?
No. Sheriff has their own legal.
Oh, okay. Their own legal who helps them understand things like the difference between arrest and detain?
Yes.
Gotcha. Was there a lawful basis to handcuff her?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that lawful basis?
Officer safety.
Here, Lieutenant Milazzo has just confirmed not to know the difference between an arrest and a detainment, an occasion in which, if they need help, he indicates they just go ahead and call the office's lawyers as a police officer and not know the law.
Did you have any...
That's astounding, isn't it? 27 years and doesn't know the law. Yet he's got 27 years of citations and arrests that would most definitely, by order of events, prove in, on, and for their record, false entry and a 30-year sentence for each and every one by each and every participant in the entry in that system, whether it be paper or electronic book entry on both sides of the books. You ignorant fucking bastards.
reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime?
We had reasonable suspicion to ask her what she was doing and why she was doing it, just to get who she was and why.
Again, just to get who she was and why. No, you don't. It ain't none of your business. You're trying to make it your business. You're trying to incorporate my actions into your personage, your slavery, your definitions. It ain't going to happen. I don't carry ID. I'm not a common carrier of identification. That would be holding a liability. I don't hold such things. I hold, as a benefactor, certain trust instruments. So if you want to talk to the legal trustee, you will have to talk to the Social Security Commissioner, as well as the administrative law judge, the Postal Board of Contract Appeals, and the judicial officer to make the appropriate judicial determination as to whether it's deemed necessary by said boards within the jurisdiction of the selective service who is responsible for all operations and administrations in its local area. A military jurisdiction. You ignorant fucking bastards.
You and I agree on that you had the right to ask her whatever you wanted to ask her. Did you have the right to put her in handcuffs?
Officer safety.
For the security of the officers, yes.
Okay. What made her a threat?
For the security of the officers. Is that what she just said?
Handcuffs.
Officer safety.
For the security of the officers, yes.
That's what I thought she said. See, there's a difference between safety and security. So does she even know what she's talking about? Again, if she doesn't know the law, and the law is the word, you have to pay attention to her words and condemn those words and rise up against them in judgment as a condemnation to those words. This is the inheritance of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. We're supposed to sing forth for the barren mothers and the desolate children, because that's where they took advantage of them. That paternity documentation, the general journal, where they turned it into a general ledger. And I guarantee you, everybody, when that case is adjourned, they're posting a journal and it being attached to a general ledger. Pay attention.
Okay. What made her a threat?
Her refusing to give any information that was requested of her.
Was she legally obligated to give that information?
When an officer has asked her for security purposes to give her identity up, yes, we do have the right to ask for an identity of somebody.
And again, in the language, if they ask and they're asking for a benefit, which is clearly what it is to them, and you give it, you are the grantor. And again, a trust does not fail for want of trustee. So you bring in the trustee. In Jesus' name, I am the Lord's. You can call me Jacob in spirit. As a man, the given name Keith will subscribe with his hand unto the Lord and surname himself by the name Israel. Is that agreeable? If he says no, then he's obviously serving someone else. You ignorant fucking bastards.
For our safety.
20 years of service, and Sergeant Larson believes that she's not safe unless she runs your name. Not the kind of cop I would like to encounter if I'm being pulled over.
Have you ever heard of something called a Terry search or a Terry frisk?
I have.
Okay, what is that?
I'm not going to say exactly. I don't know the law.
Okay.
Seeing how she has no clue of anything related to law, Samantha's lawyer then decides to make up a hypothetical scenario to further prove his point on how wrong the arrest was.
A police officer goes over to somebody on the street. Let's call the person Mr. Plaintiff.
Okay.
Police officer goes to Mr. Plaintiff and says, "Hey, let me see your ID." And Mr. Plaintiff says, "No." Is the officer now allowed to put Mr. Plaintiff in handcuffs and detain him?
I object. It's a hypothetical and calls for speculation.
Yeah.
You see what he just did there? He proved that what they did was purely hypothetical and not suspicion, and therefore a false legal process. And they did it on the basis of safety and security of the officer, without the proper delegation from the proper judicial office to make such appropriation in public.
You can answer.
Okay. I do believe, yes, for officer safety, they do have the right.
Doesn't there have to be reasonable suspicion that the person committed a criminal offense or violated a law?
Because I don't know the law exactly.
At least
Again, I don't know the law exactly. So the only thing she's stating is that by their policy, So again, these are people that have been deceived. You ignorant fucking bastards. Wake up. Cognitive dissonance runs deep. And believe you me, these people, I don't care how much they work, how much they profess they work, but they do go home to good families, good wives, good children, supposedly, but they too are indoctrinated into the system of a popularity contest to live on the good streets and make good money. And that's the only reason they're doing it. You ignorant fucking slaves. Allowing the kidnapping of the children of Israel. How blasphemous. You ignorant fucking slaves.
At least we saw so far how Jennifer takes responsibility and accepts that she doesn't know the law, in big contrast to her lieutenant, who instead pretends not to understand any of the questions the lawyer asks and makes fun of the situation.
If you could go back in time to the day that you arrested her, would you still arrest her?
So you're asking me if I can go back in time?
Yeah.
I don't know how I could do that.
Okay. Did you understand my question?
I did, and you're asking me to suppose whether or not I can go back in time. I can't.
So you can't tell me if you would still arrest her?
I can't tell you what would happen on that day if I went back in time, no.
Okay.
And this is why it's not logical to ask such hypothetical questions in most instances. Because if you get somebody like this, he could destroy your whole case, particularly if he's the arresting officer. See what I'm saying? He's playing an ego game and he knows how to ask some pretty good questions, but he's still fucked. That ego of his is too narcissistic. Been at it 27 years. Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him good. 30 years for every fucking one he's done in the last 27 years. Put him behind bars and let him learn from there. If you will. That's not mine to judge.
Is this an attempt to be funny?
Not.
I only suggest it, recommend it highly, whatever. It's for your safety and security, you ignorant fucking slaves.
A bit.
Are you trying to answer my questions?
I'm trying to answer your question.
You really can't figure this out because you can't wrap your head around time travel.
That's what you're saying? Object. Again, I mean, I'm going to object. It's getting to be harassing again. I mean, is this what the question is? Hypothetical time travel backwards?
Is that really how you interpreted the question? Also?
Is that what you're asking? If you could go back in time, would you do it differently? Is that not what you're asking?
Yeah, that is what I asked him.
Going back to Sergeant Jennifer, the interrogation continues, and her responses don't get any better as time goes on.
Is there any reasonable suspicion that she was committing a crime, yes or no?
I think a better question to have asked him, the prior one, would have been something like, would you have this, or if you know now that what you did was unlawful, would you do it again? See, that takes things out of the past context and puts them into an intentive future context. Now that he's been given notice and that he's very likely serving heavy time, would he do it again? I bet he wouldn't answer so fucking quickly.
We weren't sure what she was doing.
Okay, so if you don't know what somebody's doing, do you have reasonable suspicion that they're doing anything in particular?
No, but we have a reasonable response to ask what she was doing.
Right. Agreed. You could ask her what she's doing. And when she refuses to answer, are you now allowed to detain her?
Yes.
Who told you?
The next question is important. This is where you people have to understand. Didn't nobody tell you? You read it somewhere and nobody told you. You're indoctrinated into a belief system of reading and writing. that you do not comprehend. Because you let these terms and conditions fly right before you without paying any attention to them. It's pertinent that you unlearn what they told you to remember and go beyond it and learn what it really means in the roots of the word, the roots of the cause, and the roots of the knowledge. Etymology, etiology, and epistemology. That will bring you to an E state, an equal station.
Do this. That you get to detain people who are videoing and refuse to identify themselves.
An equal station with truth, or as near as may be.
When asked.
That is the face of someone getting caught, being held accountable, and humiliated for their illicit actions.
Illicit actions. Spell it out. ILL. ICIT. Ill. I see it. Do you?
Despite always refusing to admit that she had done wrong, everything was captured on camera and the answer is clear as water at this point. But this is not over, as in complete opposite to Sergeant Larson, Lieutenant Milazzo wasn't going to go down without a fight.
Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment, by the way?
Vaguely.
What does it say in your...
Vaguely. Oops. Right to be secure. So it's for officer security. So you're trying to steal my security right off the bat through my person by bringing me into your house so you could have your effect. Where did my security go? See, if you don't understand the Fourth Amendment, you fucked if you're going to talk to me. If you don't understand the law, and you've been practicing it for 7 years, you fucked. I'll put all the evidence to show them that you deserve 30 years, every last one of you, for every incident in such manner of kidnapping and making merchandise of one of the children of Israel. You ignorant fucks.
Your own vague terms.
No illegal search and seizure.
All right. Unless there's...
Probable cause.
Or...
That's about all I know.
Okay, all right, good enough. You said that's about all I know. All right, now, there was somebody else who asked you the same question that I just asked you about your familiarity with the Fourth Amendment, who's in this room right now. Do you know who that person was? My client asked you that, didn't she?
I don't recall.
She asked you, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment? You don't remember that?
No.
Lieutenant Milazzo admits not to recall neither the location in which this happened nor who actually asked him, when in reality, all of us know that it was Samantha and he's just playing dumb, and everything was recorded as we saw before.
I'm a lawyer.
Okay, call your lawyer.
That includes my camera as far as consent.
Well, it's already on.
Are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
Oh, great. Why do we always get the crazy?
I don't know.
After recalling the incident, the lawyer brings up his offensive comment towards Samantha at the time.
If I tell you that your answer was, oh great, why do we always get the crazies? Would you dispute that?
No.
Does that sound like something you would say to somebody?
That's something I did say that day, yes.
So you remember saying that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember saying that in response to the question, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment?
No, I just remember saying it.
Why is it that you felt she was one of the crazies?
When people act in a way that is not in their best interest.
So wait a minute. You want her to just willingly let you kidnap her and any other offenses that you might subject her to, such as rape. You already stole. Now you have intent to take her house, her papers, her person, her effect, even life. How dare you, you ignorant fucking bastards, take command over another man or woman's life and don't know what the fuck you're doing to begin with, and then pose that somebody else is going to make it lawful for you to do it? You ignorant fucks. You already know you're doing is wrong. You already know it in your heart, you ignorant fucks.
How is she acting that was not in her best interest?
Well, at any time, all she had to do was identify herself. We could have done our report. And you have an option. All you have to do is show us an ID so that we can
Identify herself by giving them an identification. The name and number identify a record, thereby giving them access to the credit device or through the credit device to records to establish a point of credit for them. Making merchandise by forcing her to walk in there, either voluntarily or under inducement of threats, coercion, called extortion, for a report, an import. You ignorant fucking bastards.
do a report and we'll let you go on your way. And everything could have gone the own.
And if somebody were to threaten you that unless you comply with their demands, they're going to put you in handcuffs, would you automatically necessarily comply with their demands?
Yes.
No object.
You would.
Calls for speculation.
He was able to answer. So you would. So even if
Yeah, see, sometimes they answer too quick, don't they? See, this is a fucking slave. See, he's willing to let another man take control of him if he's not done anything wrong. He's not willing to let him provide a false process. Making merchandise of the children in administrative probate courts of estates. Because they know you don't know the administrative policy under state statute code. That's actually a contract for all postings of all accountings of all events incidental to their public view. You want to provide your privacy, you have to quit going to their public venues to have birth registrations. That's a spell of illness. And it's posted in their own accounting of notes at 42 U.S. Code 1395X. The very first definition in that code is spell of illness. Read it for yourself.
even if there's somebody who is
ill, I see it. Do you? Don't believe me. Don't believe your neighbor. Don't believe your government. And for crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. All you got to do is go look.
acting as a law enforcement officer, giving you an unlawful order, threatening you with detainment or arrest or 90 days jail, if you don't comply with their unlawful demands, you would still comply?
Yes.
Alrighty. Is that what you expected her to do, to comply?
Yes.
Having heard multiple times the need for a person to identify himself when requested by a police officer, the lawyer then decides to question Lieutenant Milazzo further in the topic.
Is there a law that requires people to identify themselves when requested by law enforcement?
I don't know.
We'll let that commercial, that I learned this lesson and I started using it long ago. First of all, if they try to tell you to do something before they ask for any ID, I first will ask them if they're trying to tamper with a witness. Pink camera magic, it's a magical thing. If you're listening, just genuinely ask them if they're trying to tamper with a witness and their right to impress for their journal, private journal. You have the right to record audio and video for your private journal. That's called an impression. You have the ability to take an impression freely, as it is freely given in nature by your very own eyes and ears. So those with eyes to see and ears to hear. We now have a technological a device that can give credence to what we observe. It is, in fact, a credit device. Again, every device has an automatic contract already in the system between the post office and the FCC for time stamps and security certificates to keep track of that information and make sure it remains in order as created.
Having been recorded by the body cam the sergeant had at the moment.
Did you delete her pictures?
No,
Who did?
don't know.
You don't know who deleted her pictures?
No.
By the time you got in front of Judge Peter Felice, they were deleted, weren't they?
As far as I know, they were still on there.
You grabbed her camera
Yes.
away from her outside, did you not?
Yes.
From that point until you were in front of Judge Peter Felice, did she ever hold her camera again?
No.
Okay, so you had it the entire time.
Yes.
Didn't Judge Peter Felice talk to you about whether the pictures had been deleted?
He asked for the memory thing so he could delete them.
He asked for the memory thing so he could delete them, not only.
Okay. That communication right there purports that there was communication about the deletion of those files, and it was between two people. That's conspiracy. That's conspiracy to extort by deleting information on a credit device. That is a RICO charge in the international venue. That telephone number and the device has international numbering systems that apply. It's not your record. You are the creator of it. And they will support it if you know how to route the right things. This man is stuck. He did conspire with the judge, admittedly. Whether the judge wants to deny it or not, that's up to him. But we now have in, on, and for their record again, time-stamped and security certificates attached digitally. Material statements of fact. Material facts in evidence. This man deserves at least one 30-year sentence for false entry into a record, one 30-year sentence for extortion, one 30-year sentence for conspiracy, and I could go on and on and on. And I have a duty to express the truth, and you have a duty and a right to know, in that right to know, to further express that knowledge. You can feed a man by giving him a fish for one day. You can feed a man for a lifetime by teaching him how to fish so he can then feed himself. But the true prosperity only goes when you go forth and share your talents. So if that talent is buried at that point, you get no return. But if you go forth with 3 talents, you're likely to come back with 6. If you go forth with 5 talents, you're likely to come back with 10. In those return of the talents to the original estate, who freely gave them to you, there are rewards. That's a spiritual reward. It's the appreciation and knowledge that you can redeem because you're now overflowing and you can share your talents. The greatest talent you have is being sanctified and ordained a prophet unto the nations. And this is a faithful saying, I will that thou affirm constantly that ye who have believed on God be careful to maintain good works that are profitable unto man.
Only did Milazzo prove the lawyer's point of the pictures being deleted, but he also had just involved a judge in the same illicit act he's being accused for.
You just said that he asked you for the memory card because he wanted to delete the pictures. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And if he were to testify at some point in time that he absolutely, categorically did not delete those pictures, then would you want to change your answer as to whether you or one of your people did?
You see his predicament now? You think this guy's going to reside over the judge or the judge is going to preside over him? He just implicated a judge and he can't prove it. You think that judge is going to be glad to hand him out a 30-year sentence at minimum? Maybe a few of them? And teach him how to keep his fucking mouth shut? If he doesn't know the law, he shouldn't have been fucking stepping on it. You ignorant fucking bastards. I hope you get what you deserve.
Object. Calls for speculation.
No one had custody of the camera but me.
Would it have been lawful for you to delete her pictures?
I don't know.
I don't know the law. He's sticking to his point that he doesn't know the law, but he's also implicating himself entirely because he just stated, no one had custody of that phone but him. So he could only be the only one that would delete those. And they are deleted. And this is a matter of the International Bureau and their records in contract with the Post Office and the FCC. They know that there are data elements missing in those records because their records clearly show them.
But what do you think?
That's why the footage is available. It was recovered.
Let it go over to people's pictures and delete them?
No.
Without a court order?
No.
All right. That would be a violation of which amendment? Do you know?
No.
If up until now he had been able to resist when questioned about his unlawful actions against Samantha when she requested a lawyer after being arrested, was the last nail in the coffin for Lieutenant Milazzo.
What do you do if somebody says they want to talk to a lawyer and you have them in handcuffs?
We allow them to call a lawyer.
Did you keep asking questions?
Depends on the case.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Tell me the case.
So it depends on the case, is what depends on whether they get to violate you, right? See, they get to make a discretion on whether they get to violate you. That's a self-admission again that he's willing to violate, and it just depends on the case. Is it going to be better for him if he violates or better for them? He got caught. Now it's better for Pink Camera Magic. You need any help? If you're listening, get a hold of me, please.
Case in which you would continue to ask questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer.
If we're doing an investigation, we're going to ask.
I got you. Okay. Do you know which amendment it is that allows people to demand a lawyer? Do you have any idea?
No.
Have you ever read anybody the Miranda rights?
No.
You've never read anybody their Miranda rights?
No.
Have you ever arrested anybody?
No.
Other than Ms. Berquist?
No.
And you don't know the Miranda rights?
Not offhand, no.
How did he make it to this point in life? In this badge system at that rank without arresting anybody? How does that happen? Well, either way, it doesn't matter because he's already admitted that he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing and hasn't known what he's doing for 27 years. So no matter what rank he's been in, issuing orders, he's been doing it without the proper capacity. He is incompetent and proves to have been incompetent the entire time. Otherwise, it would be assumed that he was competent and did know the law and somehow suffered some kind of tragic accident and lost his fucking memory and capabilities, which obviously isn't so.
Right. When you arrest somebody, do you have to advise them that they have the right to remain silent?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that they have the right to an attorney?
Yes.
Do you have to advise them that if they cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to them?
Yes.
Okay.
And he just clarified that he's never done so. He also clarified he never arrested anybody until her. So both of those statements were false. You see where we're going? It demands an inquiry into the entire record. Period. And guess what? Pink Camera Magic, I suggest you do an inquiry into your entire record as well. They're both false.
Now, what if somebody says, yes, I want to talk to an attorney? Do you get to keep asking them questions? Or do you have to call a lawyer for them before you want to ask any more questions?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know if you're allowed to keep asking questions of somebody in custody after they ask for a lawyer?
No.
How long have you been employed at Cook County Sheriff's?
27 years.
27 years. I imagine you only became a lieutenant recently?
No.
How long ago did you become a lieutenant?
22 years ago.
You've been
a lieutenant for 22 fucking years. He rose in the ranks in 5 years to lieutenant. A tenant in lieu of the name and address, please. I need your name and address, you fucking slave. I ain't your fucking slave. I don't have an address for you. And the name you're looking for is somewhere else. Because the name I was given was Keith. My mom and dad called me Keith all my life, no matter who my mom and dad posed to be. See, I was adopted and went through foster homes, and then I was put up for adoption, went through foster homes, and then I was adopted. So I had a lot of moms and dads, and every last one of them called me Keith. Now, there was a certain time in my life, the family that I hailed from was Conradi. But upon the adoption, they changed the last name to Little. See, the family name and the given name were converted long before I even knew how to speak it. I am not that legal name. So if you want to take down that legal name, you better know that I never gave you a legal name. And for the birth date, I wouldn't be able to tell you when that is. That's on their documentation. I hear I was born around August 20th, 1966, but that too would be hearsay. And as it is for the rule of hearsay, Rule 803 of the Federal Rules of Evidence, as you're trying to tamper with this witness, I say hallelujah for the scriptures that I use as my holy writs that tell me that before he formed me in the belly, he knew me. Before I was cast from my mama's womb and discharged as a man, and upon taking the first breath of life, making that man a living soul, he ordained that living soul as a prophet unto the nations with his sanctification. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I will speak boldly as I ought to. I hope y'all have a good night. I love you. I don't give a fuck whether you love me back or not. May God bless you. Have a good night.